Hi, welcome to another episode of Elevated. In this episode, we're going to talk about our dream team and how to create a dream team.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to start with roles and skills. And I think it's really important that we find the right people for the right job. I know it sounds super simple, but, there are many, many complex things that go on in a photo studio, and finding the right person to fit in the right job, I think, is key. And it could be quite surprising. It could be that actually you have someone who's super creative and is hired as a photographer, for instance, but actually turns out they've got a lot more styling skills. So, it's things to watch out for like that.
Yes, I do agree. And also, I think it's very important to focus more on having a team in-house. And we've been speaking about this, that it is difficult because there are a lot of freelancers. If you do work with freelancers, then it could be good to have more of a steady team that you are really going to, train and look at, okay, this is our style guide, or these are the brands that we're working with, and really to make sure that we can get that brand identity into the work.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing you want to do is every morning a freelancer shows up, train them once again on how we style things at this place or how we photograph things, what the lighting is and so on. So, yes, freelance staff, but try and keep the pool small if you can. And obviously in these days, it's super challenging to find the right people and keep them. But, the message we got, again, from the workshop in LA was that, people tend to be a lot more brand loyal and understand the brand a lot more. And I think that's really key when you're trying to elevate that content and, keep the standards really high. People who stick around and get to know the brand, they have a lot more sense of, what it is that this brand speaks to and how to best communicate that aesthetic in the lighting, in the styling, Yes. I think one really great example from a couple of flows ago was ASOS. And, listening to Peter talk about his team, all of the creative that they do is done by the same in-house team. So there's no difference between above the line advertising content and content that's purely for e-commerce and PDP. And I think that's a really great approach because, again, I think our next topic is, keeping a creative person involved and informed, educated, and really engaged in what you want to do in the studio.
Yes, I do agree. I think it's very important to, how to keep your staff engaged. And PDP can be quite tedious. It's always the same T-shirt you're styling, or it's always the same product that you're styling. But how can you make this interesting? How can you make people stay? One of my first jobs was also in a studio, and I was a stylist there. And whenever something creative came along, then someone else was being hired to do that. And then I think if you are, if you, like we said, keep engaging with your staff and keep asking, okay, what are the things that you excel at, or things that you feel like you can do, or if you feel like you're better at, and stuff like that. And then being able to change those moments or jobs and how do you say it? Rotate that, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, from a studio management perspective, I looked after a team, and it was really difficult because you had the odd creative project available for people to do, but it was, trying to get the right person that fits doing that thing. So, I would have, for instance, a new product come along, and we'd have to find a new way of shooting it. So it was, giving it to a photographer and a stylist together to come up with a really nice way of displaying that product. There's only a certain amount of that you can do, but if you can rotate that around the team and not always pick your favorites, but, keep everybody as engaged as possible. Another thing we did, different studio, but we used to have gallery days. So once a month, somebody from the team would choose an exhibition that they wanted to see, whether it was photography or, an art gallery, for instance. And we would all, it was after hours, but we would have the budget to go and, go to that exhibition, experience, have a discussion about it. And then, being British, it was down the pub at the end. But I think that just really bonded the team a lot more,
I can imagine that that does. Yeah, that sounds amazing. And I think it's also interesting if you would, for example, bring in a trend forecaster, or if there's a trend forecaster and you can maybe see something like a presentation that you really invest in your team and get them inspired as well. Because like I said before, yes, it's just maybe a t-shirt or a jacket that you're photographing, but maybe it's a different type of lighting that you could use, or there's a different way of having the buttons different, or even, rolling up the sleeves or stuff like that. Like just the small details that keep it interesting, and then also, keep the team engaged.
Yeah. So, I mean, look after your creatives and they will look after your business, yes. I think is the message here. You know, you want to create really beautiful looking content that's going to inspire customers to spend money in your business. So, you know, that team who creates that content that is the window into your, your product to your shopping environment, that I think, requires those creatives to be engaged and be, interested in what you're doing, essentially, and loyal to you. That's really the message.
Yes. Yeah, I think we've come to an end here, right? Do we end this?
Yeah. So thank you once again for tuning in and listening to what we have to say. Again, we will have some downloads available. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can get some nice material that goes along with this series.
Yes.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.